today about prayer for a multitude of reasons. And one of the things that I want to share with you guys is how often people that I work with are kind of surprised that I pray so often. I guess in the world of intuition, metaphysics, mediumship, it's not something that they put two and two together with. Um, and so, for those of you that have never worked with me, um, one of the things that I do is and I'm working with clients one on one, I start every session with a prayer. For me, it's very important to just create that sacred space. And a lot of people, especially if they're coming for a mediumship session, will have a lot of nervousness and anxiousness around having the session. And prayer, in my opinion, is the best tool to use to really help open their heart and open their mind to the experience as a whole, and to understand that it's important to me as I surrender to be of love and service to them. But many years ago, I learned that it was also very important that I utilize this in my live events. Um, Classes, my soul circle group that I meet with at least 3 times a month, all of our sessions start off with prayer. And personally, years, 20 some years ago, when I started doing live in person mediumship gallery events, I guess you would call it, I always did my prayers behind the scenes for myself, right? But there was one time that I did a live event, and after that event, I said, I'm just going to start making people pray with me. If it doesn't matter to me whether you call God, creator, source, divine universe, but I know everyone would benefit from hearing this prayer aloud. And I just made it my rule moving forward that even in those sessions, we're just going to start everything with prayer. And you may or may not know, but recently I co-wrote a book with Radley Valentine called Dear Angels, It's Me Again, and it comes out June 30th, and it is channeled prayers that he and I wrote together, both morning and evening prayers that cover a multitude of topics and talks about prayer and working with your angels and guides. But one of the reasons that I feel like prayer is important is it puts us in that receptive mode. Oh, thank you, Angelic Michelle. I pre-ordered. Thank you, Michelle. I'm so super excited about it. It's my first time to write a book. It's always been on my radar that I wanted to write, and I have many folders over here where you can't see on my desk of so many ideas that I've channeled over the years that I just have to commit the time to working on them. But going back to prayer, prayer is just an opportunity for us to put ourselves in the receptive mode. And many people that I know, and especially in the thousands of readings I've done over the years, much of the time we need to practice being in the receptive mode. Many people, they don't mind giving, but there's an uncomfortableness to not receiving. And by opening ourselves up to prayer, it is such a powerful tool to open ourselves up purposefully, utilizing our free will to invite the guidance, the love, the support, the protection, the miracles, all of those beautiful, blessed things into our life. Now, I will say that there are a lot of people out there that say if you're not asking your angels for help, they're not going to show up. And I really cannot get on board with agreeing with that completely. Because I think most any of us, if we look back at our life, we've all had a moment, if not many, where we know that something divine, something bigger, greater than ourselves intervened in our life. We had an experience where it was way beyond coincidence, and we know that something was trying to get our attention, something was trying to help us, protect us, intervene on some level. And those moments we trust so emphatically. And the reason we trust those so much is because we weren't asking for it, right? We weren't asking for it. It just, this thing happened, right? When we start to purposefully try to connect with that or invite that divine, beautiful help in and connect with ourselves intuitively, we usually start to doubt it from the get-go. For sure, I've had divine intervention, yes. And so I also am a big believer that if you want to strengthen your intuition, start with prayer, because intuition, in my opinion, is that divine language of love that keeps us connected to where we came from. And I don't believe at all that we were just dropped off here on earth to be like, good luck, see you when you get back. Hope you do well, right? We have this built-in support system, our guardian angels, our spiritual guides, the archangels, ascended masters, saints, all of these beautiful beings, including our loved ones on the other side, that love and support us. And intuition is that language that keeps us connected. We usually, we're not going to get usually an email from God or a text message or a phone call. Our angels aren't going to show up on our front doorstep and said, hey, let's go to lunch. We have some things we want to talk to you about, right? So we have to learn how they are communicating with us. And in my opinion, prayer is one of the ways that we get to practice that. Again, this is about connecting to the powerful force of love from which we all came from, that unconditional loving energy. And when we open ourselves up through prayer, it starts that conversation. And I love, utilizing prayer in the morning because it kind of like you can think about your day, what's on your schedule, what's on your to-do list, what could you, utilize help with. Prayer is working smarter, not harder. And many of us are very focused on here's what has to get done, here's my to-do list, going on about your day, when if you really invite that love and that support in, you can see that time can be expanded, and that things can happen more quickly, more peacefully, with added extra blessings and miracles. And going through that process kind of helps us to go through our mind and help us realize, bring to the forefront of our mind, like what's going on, how are we feeling, what do we feel like we need? And of course, gratitude as well, right? Because there's so much for us to be grateful for. I know that many people at this time um, can feel very overwhelmed just with life in general, with everything that's going on in our world. But I want you to remember that peace begins within us. It starts with us. And that's where we must start. We can't save the whole world if we're not really taking good care of ourselves. And our prayers in their own are very, very, very powerful. Hello, Arnold. Hello, Tony. Hey there, overstimulated. Hello, yes. And so I think it's just very interesting. And so today I had some calls. I've got to go to my mom's for a little bit and come back. I've got some more calls, then I've got Soul Circle tonight. But it's interesting to me to get feedback from people about, oh my gosh, and when I start those sessions off with prayer, they're like, that was so beautiful. I didn't know I needed that. You started the session before we even started the session in the prayer. But it has the potential to be so powerful in our lives. And I totally get it. I think that a lot of times they say, oh, you're a psychic medium, or I didn't know like that you prayed. I'm like, I've been communicating with God, creator source, since that is the first memories I have as a young child. And so I remember communicating before I ever went to Sunday school or learned formally what, anything religious wise would be. And, I really want to encourage anyone who runs across this video at any given point in time, like, you don't have to have a formal religion or any religion at all to utilize the gift of prayer. Um, you don't have to have perfect words. Um, you know, I think that we can, get caught up on things needing to look a certain way or thinking that they're supposed to. And I remember years ago, I had a client who I would usually see her maybe twice a year. And one of the times that she had came, her angel said, well, we asked her to start talking to us on a daily basis, but she hasn't been doing that. And so they kind of called her out a little bit. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, this is what they're bringing up. And she's like, well, I tried for a little bit and I felt like I might be doing it wrong. And I was just like devastated. I was like, well, let's get this straight right now. Um, you know, apologize that you left here last time not feeling confident about how easily you can do this. Like, there is no getting it wrong. It's about just our openness. It's about having that open heart and that open mind and that willingness to allow that love to show up in our life. And so you don't have to have special training. You don't have to fold your hands. You don't have to do it before bedtime or before you eat. Like, prayer is something that is accessible to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And sometimes it's a mental help, one word. Sometimes it's just, us lifting up the feelings off of our heart space. Now, I personally love to pray out loud. And I am known to do some long prayers when I'm praying for somebody. But again, it's one of the most powerful tools that we have. And I can tell you that the long, long list of answered prayers of people that I know that I've prayed with, people that are either clients or part of my soul circle family, we've had a lot of answered prayers that we are so, so, so very grateful for. One of the times that really stuck out to me was I had a friend that she basically was moving cross country and she was going to need to sell her car and all of these things. And anyway, she was like, can we pray that the timing of selling the car, like she needed to use the car until she left, but she also needed it sold. Like it was just like, and she wanted it to go to a good family. It had been a great car for her. And she had talked to the guy that took care of like the maintenance at her condominiums that she lived in. And he had expressed some interest and she had told him, this is, what I'm selling it for, etc. And literally while we were praying on the phone with one another, she lived in Connecticut at the time and I was here in Texas. She gets a knock on the door and she's like, I'm sorry, hold on just a second. And she answers the door and it is the mechanic and he gave her like a third of the money and he said he would have the rest of it in 3 days and that he could wait until she left to take ownership of the vehicle. I'm like, talk about ask and receive, right? So, oh, J.R. Line, I had a lovely reading with you. I don't know who you are by that name, but hello, thank you. Yeah, does anybody have questions that they want to ask about a little bit of time, which is why I came to pop on here. But I guess today it's one of the topics that I wanted to talk about because what was on my heart really this morning when I woke up was that I felt like today, for some reason, there were a lot of people that were feeling, I guess, like the wind out of their sails, like just feeling less motivated, feeling less connected to their spirit, feeling maybe less hopeful than they normally do. And here's the thing about that is sometimes we need to use that energy to turn the corner really clearly. Our intentions are super, super powerful. Intentions go a long way. And so we want to make sure, and be in awareness of where we are. So one of the things that I do first thing in the morning is like, I check my own gauges. Like if I'm super tired, am I not feeling right? Like if energetically, then I focus on my energy first. What's going on? Am I tired? Did I get enough sleep? Am I dehydrated? Is there a reason that it makes sense or is there something energetically going on? And I clear any stagnant energy that's either mine or something that I've picked up along the way. Really come back to my center and make sure that I take care of myself first. But also sometimes that inconsistent kind of feeling within ourselves is the reminder to get really clear about what we want. What are we wanting to experience? How do we want our life to flow? What do we want to invite in? What have we outgrown and need to release? Clarity goes a long way. Intentions are very powerful. Awareness is 90% of the work. And when we are really clear, it's so much easier for us to move forward. When we have clarity, it's easy for us to then share with our angels and guides what our vision is and what we could utilize help with, and then they can help us. Now, in 20 something years of doing thousands of readings for people across the globe, our angels are guiding us so much. They're there to say, yes, this is a good path. Hey, did you think about this? You're asking this question, but the better question is this, right? But one of the things that happens sometimes is there waiting for us to get really clear, to understand what brings us joy, what makes us happy, what lights our heart space up, what do we want? Because then once we have that clarity, they are there to then support what we are desiring. And so take a little time for yourself today. Make sure that you're paying attention to your own energy. How are you feeling? You know, it's great to have a lot in your spiritual toolkit. Um, you want to have kind of a big spiritual toolbox, right? Because for me, if I did the same thing over and over every day, I would get bored with it and it would lose its umph and its power to assist and support me. And so I like to have lots of things in my spiritual toolkit to say, okay, what could I best utilize today to help me out, whether that's amp up my faith, you know, restore my energy, help me to feel much more connected, clear the clutter of my mind. And so, yeah, let me know what questions you have. I'm going to try to come on here on a regular basis, answering some questions, maybe doing some readings live. I'm new to going live on YouTube. And I would love for you to hit that like and follow across all channels. We're trying to change everything to Heather and Hildebrand. For those of you that may have also followed me on Instagram and Facebook, I went through a big thing where there were a lot of imposters. And so for sure, like having to start over on Facebook. So you can find me, Heather Ann Hildebrand, over there. But yeah, I'm sorry you're having low energy. Yes. So when our energy feels really low, there's a couple things that I would love to share about that. So when we think about we have our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body, and they're all working together, right? We want to be connected to our spirit. We want to remember that we are a spark of the divine, powerful and wise, way beyond measure. And a lot of times we're not tapping into that nearly as we could. But a couple of things can happen. We want to understand and recognize all of those parts of ourselves and how they work together. And if there's any part of us at any time that starts to get stuck in our emotional body and our mental body, like thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling, it very much so diminishes our work field, right? Because we're not present in the physical. We may not be taking action steps. We may not be connected to our body. And we're not calling on the divine wisdom of our spirit, right? It's kind of like being on this hamster wheel where it's all emotions and it's all thoughts, and they're not thoughts that are serving us, right? So understanding that ego voice and escorting it to the side is very, very important. And it's also very important to recognize how true divine guidance shows up in our life through those intuitive channels, right? True divine guidance, whether it is your guardian angel, your spirit guide, the divine itself, or any of those beautiful helpers, even your loved ones in spirit, they're going to come through very loving, very kind, very patient. It's going to make you feel more conviction. It feels, especially, you know, that divine guidance, when you think about God, creator, source, and if you've ever had a connection, you know that it feels very unwavering. It is solid, solid, solid. It's not all over the place, and our ego is. And so it's one of the ways that you can recognize and discern, is this truly divine guidance, or is this fear stepping in, really trying to conflict and confuse me? And so when we think about the ego, we think about shame and blame and guilt and remorse and unforgiveness and deceit and pompous, rude, narcissistic behaviors, worry, right? And so the ego usually shows up, what if this, what if that? I don't know. It's very unsettled and it's all over the place. It's very jumpy and jittery, where your intuition and divine guidance, it's just clear. And it's often 2 words, 3 words, 1 sentence. It can sometimes just feel like a whisper, not a yell, right? Whereas the ego it can be loud and noisy and unsettling. And so again, like I said earlier, awareness is 90% of the work. When you can recognize, oh my goodness, my ego is trying to take me for a ride, I can say, stop. That's not even my truth. It doesn't have to be my truth. How can I focus my thoughts? How can I bring my beliefs back to something that I know to be real and true? And even if you get back to neutral, right? Most of us don't jump from negative Nancy to positive Polly, you know, 100% the other direction. But even if you get back to neutral, it's a win. And then you can, take this stances. I'm so happy I saw you today. Um, yes, always and check out my website, heatherhildebrand.com. There's a full resource page over there that has lots of free resources. There's signs and symbols from spirit. There's so much. There's affirmations you can use. And if you're not already signed up for my angel guidance for the week ahead, I send that out every Sunday. So it just kind of gives you an idea as to like what to be paying attention to and expecting. And so when our energy is low, we're not going to feel at our best. We're going to feel very disconnected. You're not going to feel as connected to yourself. And this is why it's very important to remember. Maybe you stomp your feet on the ground. Maybe you wiggle your body. Maybe you make sure you connect with all parts of yourself. And whether you're calling on Archangel Michael or whatever tools you feel comfortable with to make sure you're removing any negativity, any old thought forms, habits, limitations. We can drain ourselves of our own energy, but we also can just pick up energy from others, from watching the news, from hearing people complain, from being in crowded buildings and situations. For some of you, you may see that if you go to the grocery store and it's really packed, you come back and you feel drained, and it could just be from that interaction. And so not only cleansing and clearing yourself, but then putting yourself in a big shield bubble of protection. I like to just put the angels on the outside of my auric field and say, you be the buffer, you be the shield, you be the sand sifter, what I say, to bring through only what's only important and necessary. Like, I don't need to feel and sense everything, but what is it that I need to know to, navigate my life from an empowered space? So, I'm super excited about the book. And I love talking about prayer. And one of the things that I've plan on doing is, if there's a topic, I can kind of give you some feedback on, like, if there's something that you're working on in life specifically, whether that's me giving you an affirmation or a way that you could call on a specific archangel for help. Um, um, right now more than ever, it's important we take care of ourselves. So when we do that, we're able to show up our best for the people that we love and the world. Okay. And so make sure you're really paying attention to the cues that you receive, whether that's from your physical body or those emotions. Emotions aren't bad, right? It's information. And so we want to be emotionally available for ourselves and to be the observer of those feelings and not get stuck in them, but move through them in a way that we're acknowledging and recognizing ourselves, because it's a beautiful gift to have, the insight of our own health and well-being and healing. So I just wanted to pop in for a little bit, and what we could do is we could close with a little prayer, kind of a prayer for peace when the world feels uncertain. I know a lot of people are feeling that way and have reached out saying that they're really kind of struggling and they don't know how to navigate that. So if you want to join me, whether you're with me live right now or you see this later on, maybe just wiggle your feet on the ground, wiggle your shoulders, maybe put your hand on your heart space. Again, you can interchange the word God, creator, source, divine, universe, does not matter to me, but just come to that space in your heart where you're opening your heart and your mind for love and light and peace and protection and blessings to show up. You're so worthy and deserving of all things good. And let's just take a few deep breaths. Breathing in all of God's goodness, grace, mercy, peace, and protection. Sending up gratitude to our guardian angels, our spiritual guides, the archangels, ascended masters, saints, our loved ones in spirit. And calling on Archangel Michael to lift any heaviness in our heart, any confusion and conflict in our mind, to protect us physically and spiritually, to be that hedge of protection. Cut any cords or attachments that do not serve our highest good, even if they are to people that we love. We know that frustration and confusion and conflict can arise at any given point in time, and we release that from ourselves in this moment. We call on Archangel Uriel to help light up our mind. If our mind is scattered and overwhelmed with so many things pulling at our attention, we just ask that Uriel brings our focus to what matters most, to help us to prioritize the things in our life so that we know what deserves our energy and our time first, because Uriel can then help us to gain momentum in the most easiest, graceful ways. We call on Archangel Shamuel to usher in peace, peace first within our own spirit, and peace for those that we love, peace to blanket the world and to come into the heart of any person or soul that is in need of that now, in this moment. We ask Archangel Jophiel to help beautify our thoughts, help us to think good things, help our thoughts to naturally be in alignment with what we desire to experience in our life, because we know our intentions are powerful. We want our beliefs and our thoughts and the visions we hold for ourselves and the words we say and the actions that we take to all be in alignment with what we desire. And we ask Archangel Jophiel to help us to see the good. We know that there is still so much good in the world, even though sometimes the noise is loud and unsettling. We know that there is good within us, that there is good around us. And so we also ask to help us to see the good and the beauty in this world so that it can be multiplied. We call on Archangel Raguel to heal any inner conflict we have within ourselves, to heal conflict in our world, and to bring justice to anyone and anything that needs to be brought into loving alignment. We ask Archangel Gabriel to help us to speak our truth with love, to help all communication that we have to be loving, kind, and clear, that people hear us as our pure hearts speak from that heart space, that all communication is kind and clear. And we call on Archangel Ariel to help us to be brave, to command our power, not from a bratty child standpoint, from a sacred responsibility of the power that lies within us, to be brave and confident, to open ourselves up to receive in ways we've not have thought of before. And for Archangel Sandalphon to hear the prayers of our heart when maybe our mouth can't find the words, to help us to expand our ability to receive, to help strengthen our connection with the divine and our understanding of how this communication works. Help our prayers, rise up and help us to understand when the answers to those prayers are revealed and show up for us. We are so grateful for this life and for these bodies. Keep us healthy and strong. May we experience great vitality. If there's any part of our lives that needs healing, we ask for that healing now, whether it be emotionally or physically. May we be in tune with our body, listening of anything that it may need from us. And may we stay empowered in every single way, connected to our spirit so that we understand our heart's desires, our purpose, and our passions, and can consciously co-create. We know that we are manifesting at all times, but we want to consciously be creating from a space and place of love. I hope this is helpful. Much love. We ask for all this or something greater in happy, healthy ways with harm to none. And so it is. Amen. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Bye.